After the separation, the pregnant woman and the millionaire accidentally met at a party. But when he saw her baby bump, Olivia Matthews smoothed her hand over her swollen belly, feeling the gentle kicks of her unborn child as she stepped into the glittering ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton. At 8 months pregnant, she felt out of place among the sea of designer gowns and tuxedos, but she was determined to make the most of this opportunity. As the newest junior partner at her law firm, she knew the importance of networking at events like these. Just 6 months ago, Olivia's life had been very different. She had been living with Marcus Blackwood, one of the city's most eligible bachelors and a rising star in the tech industry. Their whirlwind romance had been the stuff of fairy tales, until it wasn't. When Olivia discovered she was pregnant, Marcus's reaction had been less than enthusiastic. Faced with his reluctance to commit and her own career ambitions, Olivia had made the difficult decision to leave. Now, as she navigated the crowded room, Olivia couldn't help but feel a twinge of nostalgia mixed with determination. She had worked hard to get where she was, balancing her pregnancy with the demands of her career. Tonight was about proving to herself and others that she could thrive as a single mother and a successful lawyer. Across the room, Marcus Blackwood tugged at his bow tie, feeling suffocated by more than just the formal wear. At 35, he was one of the youngest CEOs in Silicon Valley, having just taken the reins of his family's tech empire. But the weight of responsibility felt heavier than ever tonight. Marcus's mind wandered to Olivia, as it often did in quiet moments. He regretted his reaction to her pregnancy, the fear that had driven him to push her away. In the months since their separation, he had thrown himself into his work, trying to fill the void she had left. But the emptiness persisted, a constant reminder of what he had lost. As he moved through the crowd, shaking hands and making small talk, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. His recent promotion, which should have been the crowning achievement of his career, felt hollow without someone to share it with. He found himself longing for the warmth and purpose he had felt with Olivia, the future they had once imagined together. Little did either of them know that fate had other plans for this evening, plans that would bring them face to face once again, forcing them to confront their past and reconsider their future. The charity gala was in full swing, the air filled with the clinking of champagne glasses and the murmur of polite conversation. Olivia made her way to the bar, craving a glass of sparkling water to quench her thirst. As she waited for the bartender's attention, she overheard a familiar voice that made her heart skip a beat. "Just a scotch, neat, please." Olivia froze, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. She'd know that voice anywhere. Marcus. Taking a deep breath, she turned slowly, coming face to face with the man she had once thought would be the father of her child. Marcus's eyes widened in shock as he recognized Olivia. His gaze immediately dropped to her prominent baby bump, a visual reminder of the life-changing news that had torn them apart months ago. "Olivia," he breathed, his voice a mixture of surprise and something else. Regret, perhaps? I didn't expect to see you here." Olivia straightened her shoulders, determined to maintain her composure. "Hello, Marcus. It's been a while." An awkward silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken words and lingering emotions. Marcus opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, a booming voice interrupted them. "Marcus, my boy, there you are." A portly man in his 60s approached, clapping Marcus on the back. "I've been looking all over for you. There's someone I want you to meet." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt." Marcus cleared his throat, visibly flustered. "No, it's all right, Mr. Jameson. This is Olivia Matthews. She's an old friend." Olivia felt a pang at being introduced as merely an old friend, but she plastered on a polite smile. "It's nice to meet you, Mr. Jameson." Mr. Jameson's eyes twinkled as he looked between Marcus and Olivia, sensing the tension. "Well, any friend of Marcus is a friend of mine. Are you in tech as well, my dear?" "Actually, I'm a lawyer," Olivia replied. "I just made junior partner at Hoffman Associates." "Impressive," Mr. Jameson exclaimed. "You know, Marcus here just took over as CEO of Blackwood Tech. Quite the power couple you two would make." Marcus choked on his scotch while Olivia felt her cheeks burn. Before either of them could correct Mr. Jameson's assumption, he was already waving someone else over. "Ah, "There's the person I wanted you to meet, Marcus. Excuse us, won't you, my dear?" As Mr. Jameson led Marcus away, their eyes met one last time. The look they shared was filled with a complex mix of emotions: longing, regret, and a hint of something that neither of them dared to name. Olivia watched Marcus disappear into the crowd, her heart racing. She had thought she was over him, that she had moved on. But seeing him again, feeling the electricity that still crackled between them, made her question everything. As she turned back to the bar, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the mirrored wall. The woman staring back at her was not the same person who had left Marcus 6 months ago. She was stronger now, more self-assured, but she was also undeniably still in love with the father of her child. Across the room, Marcus excused himself from the conversation with Mr. Jameson and his associate, his mind reeling from the encounter with Olivia. Seeing her pregnant, radiant, and successful stirred something deep within him. He realized with startling clarity that he had made a terrible mistake in letting her go. As the night wore on, both Olivia and Marcus found themselves distracted, their eyes constantly searching the crowd for each other. The chance encounter had reopened old wounds and ignited new possibilities. Neither of them could have predicted how this unexpected reunion would change the course of their lives, forcing them to confront their past decisions and reevaluate their future. The stage was set for a night that would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves, each other, and the true meaning of love and commitment. As the evening progressed, Olivia found herself unable to focus on the networking she had come to do. Her mind kept drifting back to Marcus, to the look in his eyes when he saw her. Needing a moment to collect herself, she slipped out onto a secluded balcony, the cool night air a welcome respite from the crowded ballroom. Leaning against the railing, Olivia gazed out at the city lights, one hand resting protectively on her belly. She was so lost in thought that she didn't hear the balcony door open behind her. "Olivia?" She turned, startled to find Marcus standing there, his expression a mix of uncertainty and determination. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I didn't mean to disturb you. I needed to talk to you." Olivia nodded, her heart racing. "Okay, talk." Marcus took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair, a nervous habit she remembered well. "I've been doing a lot of thinking since you left, and seeing you tonight, it's made me realize something." He paused, seeming to search for the right words. "I was a coward, Olivia. When you told me about the baby, I panicked. I thought about my career, about the responsibility, and I let my fear control me. But these past few months without you, they've been empty." Olivia felt tears prick at her eyes, but she blinked them back. "Marcus, please," he interrupted gently. "Let me finish. I've achieved everything I thought I wanted, the CEO position, the success, the recognition, but none of it means anything without you. Without our child." His gaze dropped to her belly, and Olivia saw a softness in his eyes that she'd never seen before. "I know I have no right to ask this, but is there any chance you could forgive me? Any chance we could try again?" Olivia's mind whirled with conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to throw herself into his arms, to reclaim the future they had once dreamed of together. But another part, the part that had grown stronger in their time apart, held her back. "Marcus," she began carefully, "I can't deny that I still have feelings for you. But a lot has changed. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. This baby, my career, they've become my whole world. I can't just go back to how things were." Marcus nodded, his face falling. But then Olivia continued, her voice soft but firm. "But maybe we could start over, get to know each other again, see if we can build something new, something stronger." The hope that blossomed on Marcus's face was breathtaking. "I'd like that," he said softly, "more than anything." As they stood there on the balcony, the city lights twinkling around them, both Olivia and Marcus felt the weight of this moment. They had been given a second chance, an opportunity to rewrite their story. But with this revelation came the understanding that the path forward wouldn't be easy. They had hurt each other, made mistakes, and grown apart. Yet as the baby kicked, as if sensing the importance of this moment, they both placed their hands on Olivia's belly. In that touch, they found a connection that transcended their past mistakes. It was a promise of a future, uncertain but full of possibility. The revelation wasn't just that they still loved each other. It was the discovery that love, true love, could survive separation, grow through adversity, and offer the chance for redemption. In the days following the charity gala, Olivia found herself at a crossroads. The unexpected reunion with Marcus had stirred up a whirlwind of emotions, forcing her to confront feelings she thought she had buried. As she sat in her office, absently rubbing her belly, she knew she had a life-altering decision to make. On one hand, the prospect of reconciling with Marcus was tempting. The love they had shared had been real, and the idea of raising their child together, of being a family, pulled at her heartstrings. Marcus's words on the balcony had seemed sincere, his regret palpable. But on the other hand, Olivia had worked hard to build a life for herself and her unborn child. She had proven to herself that she could succeed on her own terms, balancing her pregnancy with the demands of her career. The fear of losing that independence, of potentially subjecting herself to heartbreak again, was almost paralyzing. After days of internal struggle, Olivia made her decision. She would give Marcus a chance, not to pick up where they left off, but to start anew. They would date, slowly and carefully, allowing themselves the opportunity to rediscover each other and build a stronger foundation. With trembling fingers, she picked up her phone and called Marcus. When he answered, the hope in his voice was unmistakable. "I've been thinking about what you said," Olivia began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "And I'm willing to try, but we need to take things slow. We're not the same people we were 6 months ago, and we need to get to know each other again." Marcus's relief was palpable, even through the phone. "Thank you, Olivia. I promise. We'll do this at your pace, whatever you need." As they made plans for their first new date, Olivia felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She knew this decision would have far-reaching consequences, not just for her and Marcus, but for their child as well. The consequences of Olivia's decision began to unfold almost immediately. At work, her colleagues noticed a change in her demeanor, a lightness that hadn't been there before. But with that came whispers and speculation. Some worried that rekindling her relationship with Marcus might affect her focus on her career, the very thing she had worked so hard to build. Her best friend and fellow lawyer Sarah voiced her concerns over lunch. "Are you sure about this, Liv? I remember how devastated you were when you left him. What if he hasn't really changed?" Olivia appreciated her friend's concern, but she felt a certainty she couldn't quite explain. "I know it's a risk, Sarah, but I have to give it a chance. For me, for the baby, for all of us." As Olivia and Marcus began to navigate their new relationship, they faced challenges they hadn't anticipated. The media, always hungry for a story, caught wind of their reconciliation. Paparazzi began camping outside Olivia's apartment and office, eager to catch a glimpse of the pregnant lawyer and her tech-mogul boyfriend. The pressure of public scrutiny added an extra layer of stress to their already complex situation. Olivia found herself constantly questioning their decision, wondering if they were doing the right thing. Marcus, true to his word, remained patient and supportive. He attended LeMay's classes with Olivia, went to doctor's appointments, and even faced the wrath of Olivia's protective parents. His dedication began to chip away at Olivia's lingering doubts. However, the biggest test came when Marcus was offered a lucrative opportunity to expand his company overseas. It would mean relocating to London for at least a year, right around the time the baby was due. As they sat in Olivia's living room discussing the opportunity, the magnitude of their decision to reconcile hit home. "I won't take it," Marcus said firmly. "My place is here, with you and the baby." Olivia felt a surge of love for him, but also a pang of guilt. "But this is a huge opportunity for your company. I can't ask you to give that up." Marcus took her hands in his gaze intense. "You're not asking, Olivia. I'm choosing. We're a family now, or at least we're trying to be. That means making decisions together, supporting each other's dreams. If you want me to go, I'll go. But know that you and our child are my priority now." Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes as the full impact of their decision to reconcile washed over her. It wasn't just about second chances or rekindled love. It was about building a life together, making sacrifices, and facing challenges as a unit. As they sat there, discussing their options and planning their future, Olivia realized that the consequences of her decision were far-reaching indeed. But looking at Marcus, seeing the love and commitment in his eyes, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The road wouldn't be easy, but the journey, she realized, would be worth it. While Olivia and Marcus were navigating the complexities of their rekindled relationship, a secondary plot was unfolding at Blackwood Tech. The company's board of directors, led by the shrewd and ambitious Victor Hawthorne, had been closely monitoring Marcus's personal life and its potential impact on the company. Victor, who had long coveted the CEO position for himself, saw Marcus's reconciliation with Olivia as an opportunity to sow seeds of doubt about Marcus's commitment to the company. In hushed meetings and private phone calls, he began to suggest that Marcus's focus was divided, that his priorities had shifted away from Blackwood Tech's interests. "Gentlemen," Victor said during one such meeting, his voice a perfect blend of concern and insinuation, "while we all applaud Marcus's personal growth, we must consider the implications for our shareholders. Is a man with a newborn and a complex personal life really the best choice to lead us through this critical expansion phase?" The whispers grew, fueled by Victor's careful manipulation and the media's obsession with Marcus and Olivia's story. Shareholders began to express concern, and the company's stock price showed signs of volatility. Marcus, consumed with making things work with Olivia and preparing for the baby's arrival, was initially oblivious to the machinations happening in the boardroom. It wasn't until his loyal assistant, Jenna, brought it to his attention that he realized the precariousness of his position. "Marcus," Jenna said one afternoon, closing his office door behind her, "I think you need to know what's been going on. Victor's been meeting with board members, suggesting that your personal distractions are putting the company at risk." Marcus felt a surge of anger, quickly followed by a wave of guilt. Had he been neglecting his responsibilities? He thought back to the late nights spent at Olivia's apartment, the long lunches discussing baby names, the mornings he'd come in late after doctor's appointments. "Thank you for telling me, Jenna," Marcus said, his mind already racing with potential solutions. "I need to nip this in the bud." Over the next few weeks, Marcus threw himself into work with renewed vigor. He arrived early, stayed late, and made sure to be visibly present and engaged in all aspects of the company's operations. He scheduled one-on-one meetings with each board member, reassuring them of his commitment to Blackwood Tech's success. But as he worked to secure his position at the company, Marcus found himself caught in an increasingly difficult balancing act. Olivia, now in her final month of pregnancy, needed more support than ever. She tried to be understanding, but Marcus could see the disappointment in her eyes when he missed another LeMay's class or had to reschedule a doctor's appointment. The situation came to a head when Olivia went into labor 3 weeks early. Marcus was in the middle of a crucial board meeting when he got the call. Without hesitation, he stood up, announced that Olivia was in labor, and left, but not before seeing the meaningful looks exchanged between Victor and several board members. As he raced to the hospital, Marcus's mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Joy at the impending birth of his child, warred with anxiety about the potential consequences at work. But as he burst into the delivery room and saw Olivia's face, flushed and determined, he knew he was exactly where he needed to be. Hours later, as he held his newborn daughter in his arms, Marcus made a decision. He couldn't and wouldn't continue to sacrifice his family for his career. Something had to give, and he was determined to find a way to have both. Little did Marcus know that his decision would set in motion a chain of events that would not only reshape his future, but the future of Blackwood Tech as well. The birth of their daughter, Sophia, marked a new chapter in Olivia and Marcus's relationship. As they navigated the sleepless nights and endless diaper changes, they found themselves growing closer, rediscovering the connection that had brought them together in the first place. Olivia watched with wonder as Marcus took to fatherhood with a dedication she hadn't expected. He was there for every midnight feeding, every bout of colic, every milestone. The man who had once shied away from commitment now seemed to revel in the responsibilities of parenthood. "I never knew I could love someone this much," Marcus whispered one night as they stood over Sophia's crib, watching her sleep. Olivia felt her heart swell with emotion, not just for their daughter, but for the man beside her. But their rekindled relationship wasn't without its challenges. The demands of new parenthood, combined with the pressures of their respective careers, often left them exhausted and short-tempered. They bickered over small things: whose turn it was to do the laundry, whether Sophia should sleep in their room or her own, how to handle Marcus's overbearing mother who kept dropping by unannounced. Yet, with each argument resolved, with each compromise reached, their bond grew stronger. They were learning to communicate, to truly listen to each other in a way they never had before. One evening, as they enjoyed a rare quiet moment on the balcony of Olivia's apartment, Marcus turned to her with a serious expression. "Liv, there's something I need to talk to you about." Olivia felt a flutter of anxiety in her stomach. "What is it?" Marcus took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about our future, yours, mine, Sophia's, and I realize I don't want to miss a single moment of it. I want us to be a real family, not just in practice, but in name too." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Olivia Matthews, will you marry me?" Olivia stared at the ring, then at Marcus, her mind whirling. Part of her wanted to say yes immediately, to embrace the fairy tale ending. But another part, the part that had grown stronger through their separation and reconciliation, made her pause. "Marcus," she said softly, "I love you, and I want us to be a family. But marriage is a big step. Are you sure we're ready for this?" Marcus's face fell slightly, but he nodded. "I understand your hesitation, Liv, and you're right. It is a big step. But I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I love you and Sophia more than I ever thought possible. You've changed me, made me a better man, a better father. I want to spend the rest of my life showing you how much you mean to me." Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. "Oh, Marcus," she whispered, pulling him into a tight embrace. When she pulled back, her eyes were shining with both tears and determination. "Yes, yes, I'll marry you." As Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, Olivia felt a sense of rightness settle over her. This wasn't the whirlwind romance of their first go-around. This was a love tempered by separation, strengthened by shared responsibility, and deepened by the miracle of their daughter. In the weeks that followed, as they shared their news with friends and family, Olivia and Marcus continued to grow both as individuals and as a couple. They started couples therapy, committed to working through their issues and building a strong foundation for their future. Olivia threw herself back into work with renewed energy, determined to show that she could be both a dedicated mother and a successful lawyer. Marcus, inspired by Olivia's drive and his love for Sophia, began to reevaluate his priorities at Blackwood Tech. Their relationship wasn't perfect. They still argued, still had moments of doubt. But underneath it all was a bedrock of love, respect, and shared purpose that gave them the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they began to plan their wedding and their future together, both Olivia and Marcus realized that their accidental meeting at the charity gala had been more than just a coincidence. It had been a second chance, one they were determined not to waste. The day of Olivia and Marcus's wedding dawned bright and clear, a perfect June morning. As Olivia stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her veil, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves. This was everything she had ever wanted, yet a small voice in the back of her mind whispered doubts. Were they moving too fast? Could they really make this work? Across town, Marcus was facing his own crisis. Just hours before the ceremony was set to begin, he received an urgent call from Jenna. Victor had called an emergency board meeting, citing concerns about Marcus's ability to lead the company. The meeting was scheduled for the same time as the wedding. Marcus felt as if the ground had dropped out from beneath him. He had worked tirelessly over the past months to prove his commitment to both his family and the company. He had restructured his schedule, delegated more responsibilities, and even implemented new family-friendly policies at Blackwood Tech. But it seemed Victor had been working just as hard to undermine him. As Marcus stood in his tuxedo staring at his phone, he knew he had an impossible choice to make: attend the board meeting and potentially save his career, or go to his wedding and risk losing everything he had worked for. With shaking hands, he dialed Olivia's number. Olivia was just putting the finishing touches on her makeup when her phone rang. Seeing Marcus's name on the screen, she felt a flutter of panic. "Marcus, is everything okay?" "Liv." Marcus's voice was strained. "There's an emergency board meeting. Victor's making a play for control of the company. If I don't go, I could lose everything." Olivia felt as if she had been doused in ice water. "What are you saying, Marcus? Are you not coming to the wedding?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "I don't know what to do, Liv. This company, it's my father's legacy. I can't just let it go." Olivia closed her eyes, fighting back tears. This was her worst fear realized, that when push came to shove, Marcus would choose his career over their family. "I see," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Well, you need to make a choice, Marcus, because I won't be left standing at the altar. If you're not there, we're done. For good this time." She hung up before he could respond, her hands shaking as she set down the phone. As she looked at herself in the mirror, her white dress suddenly felt suffocating. Was this the end of their story? Meanwhile, Marcus stared at his silent phone, feeling as if he was being torn in two. The rational part of his brain argued that he could reschedule the wedding, that Olivia would understand once he explained. But his heart knew that if he didn't show up today, he would lose Olivia and Sophia forever. As the minutes ticked by, both Olivia and Marcus faced the biggest decision of their lives. For Olivia, it was whether to walk down the aisle, not knowing if Marcus would be there. For Marcus, it was a choice between the company that had been his life's work and the family that had become his reason for living. The clock struck noon. The wedding was set to begin, and the future hung in the balance. As the wedding guests filed into the picturesque chapel, an air of tension hung over the proceedings. Olivia's bridesmaids exchanged worried glances, aware that something was amiss but unsure of the details. In the bride's room, Olivia sat motionless, still in her wedding gown, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her mother knocked gently on the door. "Sweetheart? It's time. Are you ready?" Olivia took a deep breath, steeling herself. "I'm ready, Mom. Let's do this." Meanwhile, across town, Marcus sat in his parked car outside Blackwood Tech's headquarters. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles had turned white. The choice before him seemed impossible: his family or his father's legacy. As he watched his board members file into the building, a memory surfaced. It was of his father, in his final days, grasping Marcus's hand and saying, "Son, I built this company to secure a future for our family. But remember, the company is not the future. It's just a means to an end. The real future is the people you love." In that moment, clarity washed over Marcus. He started the car and sped towards the chapel, praying he wasn't too late. Back at the wedding, Olivia stood at the entrance to the chapel, her father by her side. The wedding march began to play, and with each step down the aisle, Olivia's heart sank a little more. The altar stood empty. Marcus hadn't come. Just as she reached the front of the chapel, the doors burst open. Marcus stood there, breathless and disheveled, his tie askew and his hair mussed. A collective gasp went up from the assembled guests. "Olivia," Marcus called out, his voice echoing in the sudden silence. "I'm so sorry I'm late. I know I don't deserve it, but please, give me a chance to explain." Olivia turned slowly, her eyes meeting Marcus's across the chapel. In that moment, all the anger and hurt she had been feeling melted away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief and love. Marcus walked slowly down the aisle, his eyes never leaving Olivia's. When he reached her, he took her hands in his. "I almost made the biggest mistake of my life," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought I had to choose between my family and the company, but I realized that without you and Sophia, none of it means anything. You are my future, Olivia, you and our daughter, and I choose you. I'll always choose you." Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks as she listened to Marcus's words. "But what about the company? Your father's legacy?" Marcus shook his head. "My father's true legacy is the values he taught me, the importance of family, of love, of doing what's right. I see that now. I called an emergency board meeting of my own to announce my immediate resignation as CEO." A shocked murmur ran through the crowd. Olivia's eyes widened in disbelief. "Marcus, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did," Marcus interrupted gently. "I want to be the husband and father you and Sophia deserve. I want to build our own legacy, together. Olivia felt a surge of love so strong it nearly took her breath away. This was the Marcus she had fallen in love with, brave, passionate, and wholly committed to their family. "Well then, Mr. Blackwood," she said, a smile breaking through her tears, "I believe we have a wedding to finish." The ceremony that followed was more beautiful and meaningful than either of them could have imagined. As they exchanged vows, both Olivia and Marcus felt the weight of their journey, the separations, the reunions, the challenges they had overcome. Each word was a promise not just of love, but of partnership, of a shared future, built on trust, understanding, and unwavering commitment. As they shared their first kiss as husband and wife, the chapel erupted in applause. Little Sophia, held by Olivia's mother, let out a joyful gurgle, as if she too understood the significance of the moment. At the reception that followed, Marcus and Olivia were inseparable, their joy infectious. As they swayed together during their first dance, Marcus whispered in Olivia's ear, "Thank you for giving me a second chance, for believing in us." Olivia leaned back to look into his eyes. "Thank you for showing up, for choosing us." As the night wore on, the newlyweds found a quiet moment alone on the terrace. Looking out over the twinkling city lights, Marcus pulled Olivia close. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "resigning as CEO doesn't mean I'm giving up on making a difference. I've been thinking, what if we started a foundation? Something that combines your legal expertise and my business experience. We could focus on helping underprivileged families, providing education and opportunities." Olivia's eyes lit up at the idea. "Marcus, that's brilliant. We could make a real difference in people's lives." As they stood there, dreaming of their future together, both Olivia and Marcus knew that while their journey hadn't been easy, it had led them exactly where they were meant to be. They had faced their fears, overcome their doubts, and emerged stronger, both as individuals and as a couple. Their accidental reunion at the charity gala had been more than just a coincidence. It had been the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with love, purpose, and the promise of a bright future together. In the weeks following their wedding, Olivia and Marcus threw themselves into planning their new venture. The Blackwood Foundation, as they decided to call it, would focus on providing legal aid and business mentorship to underprivileged families and individuals. As they worked side by side, bouncing ideas off each other and refining their vision, both Olivia and Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was more than just a philanthropic endeavor. It was a chance to combine their skills and passions in a way that could make a real difference in the world. Olivia's legal expertise proved invaluable as they navigated the complexities of setting up a nonprofit organization. Her network in the legal community helped them connect with other lawyers willing to provide pro bono services to those in need. Marcus, freed from the pressures of running a major corporation, found a new outlet for his business acumen. He developed mentorship programs for budding entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds, drawing on his own experiences and the lessons he'd learned along the way. Their new direction wasn't without its challenges. There were long nights and stressful days as they worked to get the foundation off the ground. But unlike the stress of their previous careers, this felt meaningful, energizing. One evening, as they sat in their home office surrounded by paperwork and baby toys, Sophia had a habit of leaving her stuffed animals everywhere. Olivia looked up at Marcus with a smile. "You know," she said, "a year ago, I never would have imagined we'd be here. Married, with a beautiful daughter, starting a foundation together. It's more than I ever dared to hope for." Marcus reached across the desk to take her hand. "I know what you mean, when I think about how close I came to losing all of this." He shook his head, his eyes full of emotion. "I'm grateful every day for that chance encounter at the gala, for the opportunity to make things right." Olivia squeezed his hand. "We've both grown so much since then. I think we needed that time apart to really appreciate what we have now." As they sat there, surrounded by the beginnings of their new life together, both Olivia and Marcus felt a profound sense of contentment. They had turned a corner, moving from a life driven by individual ambition to one guided by shared purpose and love. The Blackwood Foundation became more than just a project. It became the embodiment of their shared values and dreams. It represented a new direction, not just in their careers, but in their life together. As the months passed and the Blackwood Foundation began to make a real impact in the community, both Olivia and Marcus found themselves reflecting on their journey and the growth they had experienced. Olivia, now balancing motherhood, her legal career, and her work with the foundation, marveled at how much she had changed. The fiercely independent woman who had walked away from Marcus during her pregnancy was still there, but she had learned the strength that comes from vulnerability, from letting someone in completely. One afternoon, as she successfully argued a pro bono case for one of the foundation's clients, Olivia caught sight of Marcus and Sophia in the back of the courtroom. Marcus was bouncing their daughter on his knee, both of them beaming with pride. In that moment, Olivia realized that her success was all the sweeter for having them to share it with. Later that night, as they put Sophia to bed together, Olivia turned to Marcus. "You know, I used to think that having a family would hold me back in my career. But I was wrong. Having you and Sophia, it's given me a purpose, a drive I never had before." Marcus nodded, understanding his eyes. "I know exactly what you mean. I've been doing a lot of thinking about my time as CEO. I was so focused on proving myself, on living up to my father's legacy, that I lost sight of what really mattered." He gently stroked Sophia's hair as she drifted off to sleep. "But now, working with the foundation, mentoring young entrepreneurs, I feel like I'm making a real difference. And it's not about my ego or proving anything. It's about giving back, about creating opportunities for others." Olivia leaned into him, feeling a surge of love and admiration. "You've changed so much, Marcus. The man I met at that gala, he's still there, with all his drive and charisma. But now there's so much more depth, so much more heart." Marcus pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "We've both changed, Liv. And I think we bring out the best in each other now. We challenge each other, support each other. We're true partners." As they stood there, watching their daughter sleep, both Olivia and Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. The pain of their separation, the joy of their reunion, the challenges they had faced and overcome together, all of it had shaped them into the people they were now. Olivia thought about the young, pregnant woman crying in the rain, feeling lost and alone. She wished she could go back and tell that version of herself that everything would be okay, that love and success weren't mutually exclusive, that it was possible to have it all, just not in the way she had originally imagined. Marcus, too, thought about his past self, the driven CEO so focused on success that he had almost lost the things that truly mattered. He silently thanked whatever twist of fate had given him a second chance, had allowed him to become the husband and father he now was. As they left Sophia's room, hand in hand, both Olivia and Marcus felt a deep sense of gratitude for their journey. They had grown individually and together, becoming stronger, more compassionate, and more fulfilled than they ever could have been apart. Their accidental reunion had set them on this path, but it was their choices, their commitment to each other, and to personal growth that had brought them to this point. And as they looked to the future, they did so with hope, love, and the excitement of continuing to grow together. 5 years after their fateful reunion at the charity gala, Olivia and Marcus stood on the stage at the annual Blackwood Foundation Gala. The ballroom was filled with beneficiaries of their programs, volunteers, donors, and supporters. Sophia, now a precocious 6-year-old, sat in the front row, beaming up at her parents. As they addressed the crowd, sharing stories of lives changed and communities uplifted, Olivia and Marcus exchanged a look of deep understanding. Their journey, from separation to reunion, from misunderstanding to true partnership, had led them here, to a life richer and more fulfilling than either of them could have imagined. "When we started this foundation," Olivia said, her voice strong and clear, "we wanted to give others the second chances we had been fortunate enough to receive. We believed in the power of love, compassion, and opportunity to transform lives." Marcus nodded, taking her hand. "What we didn't realize," he continued, "was how much this work would transform us. Every life we've touched, every family we've helped, has reinforced the lessons we learned in our own journey." As they concluded their speech to thunderous applause, Olivia and Marcus embraced, their eyes shining with tears of joy and pride. They had built something beautiful together. Not just a family or a foundation, but a legacy of love and second chances. Their story served as a powerful reminder that life's unexpected turns, even the painful ones, can lead to extraordinary destinations. That true love can withstand separation and challenge, emerging stronger and deeper. And that when two people commit to growing together, supporting each other's dreams while nurturing their own, there's no limit to what they can achieve. In the end, Olivia and Marcus's accidental reunion hadn't just changed their lives. It had set in motion a wave of positive change that would continue to ripple outward for years to come.